You are about to watch a new episode of My Brother's Keeper podcast, a safe space for men here on the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show channel. Healing, empowerment, transformation. Thank you for tuning in.
Good evening, good people. My name is Hilton Young, also known as the Poet GF Soldier, and welcome to our podcast, My Brother's Keeper. And we have today Brother Jason King. We are a podcast that comes on every last weekend, every last Sunday, fourth or last Sunday of the month. And we talk about men's issues. We talk about emotions. We talk about feelings. We talk about things that men have struggled with over the years in terms of dealing with their circumstances. So we are happy to have you here today. And we just want to introduce Brother Jason King. How you doing, sir?
I am doing, words can't describe how I'm doing right now. I'm actually honored to be here. Yes, I'm honored to be here, and I'm ready to help anybody I can through whatever situation they're going through.
Okay, so we're going to get into this. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Okay, well, I'm 39 years old, and I guess a majority of my life I learned by trial and error. You know, I didn't have a lot of guidance. Came up in a split home where my mother raised me, did the best she could. She actually moved me out of a very bad neighborhood into a nicer neighborhood, which was kind of too late because I already had the ways of the neighborhood kind of rooted into me. So she took me out the hood, but she didn't take it out of me. I was, let's say, I had a loss of identity, an identity crisis. Really didn't know who I was, so I got in a lot of trouble. Sold some drugs, did a lot of drugs, and eventually ended up doing some time. And uh, dur- during that time is when I really got closer to God and really found out who I really was as a person and who God created me to be. So I've been walking in that. I'm married with 4 kids. I published book Tears of Joy about 2 months ago, so all this is really new to me. But I am walking in my purpose, and this book has been a life-changing experience for me, and I hope it's a life-changing experience for others.
Amen. So for other people that are just coming into the show, I want to make sure we understand, we make sure we know who we're talking to, and make sure that we understand that this brother is a powerful brother. And I want to read a little snippet of his information about Jason RAYNARD King, a man of God, husband, father, best-selling author, international motivational speaker. Wow. Jason's journey from brokenness to boldness has inspired thousands around the world. He's not preaching from a pulpit of perfection. He's speaking from a place of real pain, real healing, and real power. Whether he's ministering behind prison walls or motivating men to rise to their calling, Jason's message remains the same. God is not done with you. You can fall, you can fail, but, and that's a big but, you can probably get yourself back up again. More than certainly, you can get yourself back up again. And so, man, we're happy to have you. This is a very powerful snippet here. So, from brokenness to boldness, wow, that's powerful right there. So, what part of it, what part of your journey was that brokenness part, and how did you get from brokenness to boldness?
Again, I would have to touch on identity.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing who I was had me around a lot of people that I shouldn't have been around. I was influenced by a lot of things that I should have never been influenced by. I found myself listening to music that I shouldn't have listened to, watching television shows that I shouldn't have watched. I didn't realize how much was feeding me, and that alone can take a child on a long, rough ride. And without my father being present, I had to learn a lot of things on my own. And anybody knows, just being a black man in this society, you're already facing a lot, and to face it without any guidance is almost hopeless.
Hmm.
So with that, having my father, I learned to really build that relationship with God. And once I built that relationship with God, that's when He started showing me who He created me to be. I've been homeless. I've been, just the bottom of the barrel, addicted to drugs to where I could do nothing about it. If I wouldn't have been locked up, I don't know if I ever got off of those drugs. I
Hmm.
was in a bad, very bad space. I didn't have respect for myself or others.
Hmm.
And that's what we have a lot of people, especially young people these days. I mean, as we get older, a lot of us, if we're blessed to make it to be older, because a lot of us leave young, but
Hmm.
if we make it to be older, a lot of us, we bounce back. But the problem is, a lot of us don't make it. A
Hmm.
lot of us, we bury a lot of young people that just didn't know who they were.
Hmm.
And that was the biggest thing I learned. The biggest lesson I learned was who I was.
Hmm.
And then I began to walk in that. It becomes easy once you know this is me, this is what I'm here for. And you begin to walk in that. You begin to talk like that. I never wore suits, I never wore ties to the last couple of months. I just began to walk and talk different. And it's a
Hmm.
beautiful thing. Yeah. So I've been low as I can get, and I'm on my way up. I know I don't have to ever experience that again, you know,
Hmm.
because now I'm actually free. You're not free until you really realize who God put you to be here, who God made you and created you to be. So
Wow.
a lot of us just walking around with no sense of identity,
Hmm.
and then it really snowballs from there. It's a relationship with a woman. You're not healed. You're broken. So you can do nothing but break her too. Then you have children. You can't raise them together with the woman you had them with because you broke her.
Hmm.
So
Right.
now here your children come in broken, and we complete the same cycle over and over again. And it all
Hmm.
leads back to crisis. And then that's gonna lead back to God. Because your mom and your dad could tell you one thing, but God knows what He created you to be. So
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So when you talk about identity, because that's huge too. So are you still? Have you discovered your full identity at this point, or are you still on that journey to discover who you are in its entirety, or have you made it to that point yet?
That's a good question. I don't believe I'll ever entirely understand who I am. I
That's
learn a
good.
little more every day. God is so vast that, He gives me, I have so many different talents. And that's where a lot of us fall off because we as people are talented people. And a
Hmm.
lot of times, and I was a victim of it myself, that part of the story, but I'm here. I started off athlete. I was an athlete. I did everything the right way. Had a scholarship to college at Bell Haven. I was starting football as a freshman, and to be honest, that was my identity. I am a football player,
Hmm.
and I received a concussion during practice the same weeks of my final exams, and I was forced to take my final exams without even knowing what classes I was in. Now that
Hmm.
did lead lose my scholarship. After I lost my scholarship, I'm still I'm I'm at home with my mom house now, but I'm still a football player that's trying to make it pro,
Hmm.
which I'm not on the football field. So that leads to depression. That leads to the drug use. That leads to who am I and what do I have to do? What do I have to offer? Because the only thing I had to offer was, hey, I'm a good football player. I'm
Hmm.
gonna make it to the NFL and I'm gonna be able to provide for my family. But once that's taken away, is who am I? And it was a who am I for like 10 years.
Hmm.
And I mean, It's crazy out here when I mean the simplest thing. You had me going to school doing everything right, and one hit, one mistake by the administration by allowing me to take the test led me through years of pain, years of turmoil. I mean, suicidal thoughts, just really wondering why am I here and what do I have to offer to this world. So as far as my identity, it continues to grow because yes, I'm an author. Yes, I'm a public speaker, but I'm
Mhm.
sure that's not the end of it because
Right.
he shows me every day. You're also a father. You're also a husband. He may move me one day into a pastor position, something I don't desire, but I'm learning to walk and do whatever he asks me to do because it's always good on the other side of obedience.
Hmm. So, so you
Oh,
could pretty much
okay.
saying that God is still continuing to identify who you are, and he's continuing to grow you into what he wants you to be. He wants you to be his servant, his conduit, his vessel, his instrument to speak to other people in terms of your story and how you got to this point today. So, would you say that God is continuing to identify you even in this process?
Well, in the Bible, it speaks of him perfecting us to the end.
Absolutely.
And that's what I feel like he's doing. He's perfecting me. I'm so far from perfect, but every day I get a little bit closer. Every day I get a little bit wiser. This is an opportunity for me right here. I take every moment serious. This is the first podcast. This is the first time I get to talk on a podcast. Don't know how many people, but however many is fine with me, as long as I can reach one.
Gotcha.
So he's now even in this moment, he's showing me a new identity. He's showing me something new. I just had to, step out on faith, like, okay, this is gonna be good, And I prayed before I got on here, Lord, speak through me. So it's no telling what he has for me. I paint, I do a
Mm.
lot of things. But
Wow.
I stopped doing a lot of things because I realized I was doing a lot of things without his blessing. So I'm like, though I can do all these things, what do
Hmm.
you want me to do?
Hmm.
Because obviously I'm failing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so if you have 12, 15 different talents, I mean, it's hard to juggle that. You can do this, you can do that.
Mhm.
You're good at administrating, you're good at numbers, you're good at all this different stuff. So it comes to a point where you have to say, hey, God, which one of these would you like me to really lean into
Mhm.
right now? Because some of
Gotcha.
this other stuff that I'm good at may be for later on. So
Mhm. Right. So when you
yeah.
were going through your brokenness part, because I heard you mention that you was at the point where you was at rock bottom, you thought about suicide in some instances. Was that a moment of hopelessness? Did you feel in that moment that you wanted to give up? And if so, if you felt like it was you wanted to give up at that time, what encouraged you at that point? What was the turning point that made you come out of that slump you was in terms of being depressed? Because I know one of the symptoms of depression is hopelessness, that you've lost hope, you've given up on life, and like you're just ready to be out of here. So when you reached that moment of rock bottom, what was the turning point that got you out of that slump? And what would you say to other guys that's probably going through right now what you've been through in terms of what they got to do to try to get themselves out of that slump?
You asked some very good questions. But
Yeah.
I would say I would say listen to that voice. One thing, because I can't give myself credit and say I woke up one day and just said, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be depressed anymore.
Hmm.
It was really God speaking to me throughout the entire time. And it
Hmm.
took me, I didn't hear him when I was in the streets. I really didn't. It took me getting locked up and sitting down to really hear God. And really once I heard him, I was like, you know what? I've been hearing you the whole time. I just been putting you on mute. you know?
Yeah.
and that, so to anybody that's out there and they've given up, listen to that voice, because you have that positivity come in the midst of all the destruction, in the midst of all the depression. You will have that positive voice, that voice that tell you it's not over, that voice that tell you to do the right thing. But when you get so down and you get so depressed, sometimes you put that thing on mute. You put God on mute because it don't make sense. Like, what are you saying? It's not over. Do you not see my circumstances? You
Mm.
know, do you like, look at this? What do you
Oh
mean?
yeah. Oh, I hear you, bro.
Yeah, so yeah, if I was to give advice to anybody, I would say listen to that voice, because that voice is real. And
Yeah.
anytime, the enemy is not gonna speak to you and tell you to do all this positive and good stuff and tell you, hey, you can still be somebody. That's not the enemy speaking to you, you
Mhm.
know. So listen to that voice and be confident in it. That would be my advice to anybody.
Yeah. So with that being said, because we're talking about, because when we get here, we talk about brothers and we talk about men, and we talk about some issues that men hurt from, or some issues that men go through. What do you think are some of the things that we as men deal with? Taking your situation for example, what are some of the things you think that we do as men that prevents us from calling on God and going to God, um, from the giddy up, instead of waiting until we get to that point of rock bottom and going through what we're going through and all that other stuff? So what I'm saying is, what are some of the issues that we as men deal with that you think that prevents us from talking to God a lot sooner when we're going through what we're going through? You still there, brother Jason? We might have a yeah. Okay, brother Jason. Yeah, I think you froze. We're gonna wait for brother Jason to come back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, brother Jason, you there?
I call.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna wait for brother Jason to come back. Okay, okay. Look like he came back. Can you hear me, brother Jason?
My
I can hear you. I heard you for that. I heard you for that second.
How's it going, fellas? You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
Yeah, we're waiting. We're
Okay,
waiting.
okay. I think I'm
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I hear you. I hear you, brother Jason. So, did you need me
Okay,
to?
I'm back.
Okay. Did you need me to repeat your question?
Okay.
Yeah. So the question was
So
this,
we good
right?
to go?
Yeah, I think we good to go. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
I think that's what keeps us from going to God.
Yeah, you cut. I think you're cutting off again. Hold on, let me see.
Yeah, it's kind of chopping up when you speak.
Yeah, it's chopping up on both ends. Let me know when you can hear me pretty good without the chopping.
But I want to answer that question.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to it.
I believe I heard
Yeah, we're gonna make sure that I
you
make sure
right.
that. Okay. So again, for those
Okay.
who just joining us, we got brother Jason King, author, husband,
Okay.
father,
Light up.
and we're just trying to get the electronic
Yeah.
part together. We're trying to
It's
make sure
too
we got,
good.
yeah. How you looking over there, brother Jason?
Help me.
Well, I heard help me. I heard that part. I heard help me.
I hear you now. We good?
Yeah, we good on this end. Just making sure you're good on your end. Make sure you're not cutting off or breaking up.
Okay.
I hear okay.
Now your question was, what keeps us from going to God, right?
Yeah, what keeps us? What prevents us from going there? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are some of the characteristics that we go through as men that keeps us from getting where we need to be? What are some of the issues?
That's simple. I was talking earlier about that today with one of my church members.
Hmm.
Pride is the biggest
Mm,
issue with men.
that's good.
And
Mm,
we're even too prideful to go to God sometimes. You know,
mm,
we come to God like, like we got everything together, and we embarrassed of the issues that we have. And along with
mm,
pride comes a lack of vulnerability. Uh,
mm,
men don't like men don't like to get vulnerable. They don't
mm,
like to express what they're going through because it's often used or looked at as a weakness. You
mm.
know, I
That's
can't
good.
let you know. I can't let you know I'm going through that because that's gonna take away from my character.
Mm,
When really what I'm learning is being vulnerable and open about each and everything that I go through actually builds my character.
yes, indeed.
People actually know what to expect when they come to me because I'm open. They know what to expect. They know what I've been through. They know what I've overcome. So we often take that prideful road a lot. We don't, and that's the difference between men and women. Women don't mind sharing what they're going through,
Hmm.
e- even if it's just writing in a journal. You
Yeah.
know, women they find a way to get that stuff off of their chest.
Mhm.
Men like to suppress it. And then that goes back into what you was talking about, going to God.
Mhm.
Women don't mind praying and getting vulnerable and falling on their face and talking to God.
Yes, indeed.
A man likes to keep that I have it all under control attitude,
Mm, yeah.
and we stick to it even with God. Yeah.
Yeah, even
So
with God. Yeah.
yeah.
So there's some good stuff right here. So once you get to God, once like we know that because pride is a big issue amongst all of us, and I can speak for myself as well. Uh, I think we as men, we got egos bigger than the state of Texas and California put together. It's just that
Definitely.
I think that the difference between some of us is that some of us with humility and vulnerability, as you mentioned, we have a better hold on our egos and we can manage our egos better. I don't know if our egos ever go away, but I know as we get older and we grow and mature, we are able to provide some balance with our egos and manage it a lot better. So when coming to God, once you hear that voice, you said that you was putting that voice on mute. Would you say that was the pride putting that voice on mute too?
Most definitely. Most
Mm,
definitely. I
yeah,
put it on mute because the voice was telling me things that didn't line up with my mindset.
right. Mm,
You know, my
yeah.
minds my mindset at the time, I was a thug.
Hmm.
I got a pistol already to use it. So
Hmm.
what you saying don't make sense.
Hmm.
So if I'm in an instance where it's like, don't do that, I'm like, no, he owed me $100.
Hmm. Yeah.
No, he owed me. He stole that from me. I got to get
Hmm.
that back. And that's how we usually operate. We have that chest out type of mentality that nobody's gonna play me,
Hmm.
and we end up playing ourselves. Now we have this same incident that just happened down here in Mobile. in front of a bunch of children. It was all over the news. It was a dance recital, and you got a young man that's there to see his daughter, and you have the mother there with a new boyfriend. Now you got a lot of pride going on right
Wow.
here. You got a
Wow.
lot of chest poking out, and
Mhm.
that guy ended up shooting and killing that man in front of everybody. Now he's sitting on his way to prison. They even want to give him the death sentence, all over a prideful situation where I'm sure God spoke to you and said, "Man, it ain't worth that. Hey, don't do that." But we put it on mute. We say, "No, he ain't gonna come to my daughter's recital talking crazy." Now you
Right.
got one dead and one in prison. So
Mhm.
that's the cycle of us men, especially black men. We stand up towards each other as enemies. We view each other as enemies. And if you have a prideful mindset and you view somebody as an enemy, it's only bad gonna come out of that.
Mhm. Okay.
Because nobody's backing down.
Right. Right. So you mentioned vulnerability too. So and we still talking about issues with men,
Hmm.
and so I know that, with your level of expertise, because you are expert in what you do. Once you write a book on something, I consider the person to be an expert in the field in which you write that book. So from your expertise and trying to deal with men, because I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming that your targeted audience is men, but
Hmm.
women can learn from it as well, right?
Most
So
definitely.
so with that being said, um um what do you think, um do you think that men are fearful and scared to be vulnerable? And if so, why? You think
Absolutely.
you think we're running from
Absolutely.
that? Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that growing with my wife.
Hmm.
Um when a man decides to be vulnerable, um it gives you an area where you can hurt me.
Hmm.
And I believe the fear is what we're scared of, being hurt more than anything.
Hmm.
So that's why we wear this masculine mask, this tough guy mask, because if I let you know, you hurt my feelings, that sounds soft coming from a man.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
hurt my
yeah.
feelings,
Right, right.
but it's a true thing we
Yeah.
deal with all the time. Somebody could say something and it don't really make you upset. It's just like, hey, you hurt my
Hmm.
feelings when you said that.
Hmm.
And you know, we just have to get really past the tough guy thing and really understand that it takes a man to say something like, hey, you hurt my feelings. Because what's gonna come after that, they're not gonna hurt your feelings anymore. See, what we do is we get this prideful thing, and we don't
Yeah.
say anything about it. We
Hmm.
act tough. We treat them different. We give them the cold shoulder, and then it builds bigger problems. For one, we just did away with that relationship, whether it's a friend, a boss, your wife, your children, anything. Once we don't address that somebody has hurt us,
Mm.
and so guess what it does? It gives them the right to do it again. They don't know they did it. You didn't say anything,
Right.
and so we continue to be stepped on, trampled, because we refuse to stand up and say something. Because a lot of times a man be like, I ain't gonna say nothing because I don't want to hurt. I get crazy, or I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I don't. But you the one walking around hurt.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'd be good to just say, "Hey, bruh, can you refrain from speaking to me in that manner?"
Yeah, yeah.
See, I can say it like that, and it's better than saying, "Hey, bruh, don't talk to me like that, or it's gonna go down." We
Mm.
have a prideful way of speaking. No, I'm gonna speak to you like a man. I'm gonna speak to you with respect. Say, sir, can we not do that? Say, ma'am. Say,
Mm.
baby. however
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is, we have to address,
yeah, yeah,
even if it's the simplest thing and it makes me look weak. Hey,
yeah.
I'm opening up to you, and that's my wife. I open up to my wife. My wife
Gotcha.
she has a area that nobody else can get to.
Mm,
That's because I open it up and I be more vulnerable. I'm completely open with her. Whatever I'm going through, whether it's embarrassing or not,
hmm
I had trouble finding a job. You know how embarrassing that is to be 40 years old and have a trouble finding a job.
Yeah.
So those type of situations we like to suppress
hmm
when it'd be better just coming out and speaking to it. Because when I speak about it, guess what happens? I get help. Oh baby, I didn't even know that was a issue you was going through.
Yeah.
So now I have assistance with one of my weak areas because my wife is here to help me where I'm weak. So how
Yeah.
can she help me where I'm weak if I never let her know where I'm weak?
That's good.
You know? And that's
Yeah.
how we become one. Because wherever she's weak at, that's where I pick up, you know.
That's good. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. So you thank God for your wife. You know what I'm saying? And I want to thank God for her as well. So
Most
your
definitely.
wife has that wisdom to provide that safe space for you, right?
Yes, sir. Well, I asked for I prayed for a God fearing wife.
That's good.
I didn't I knew when I was in prison, I prayed for it in prison. I knew I had a journey ahead of me once I got out. And I asked for a woman of God to assist me on that journey.
Mm.
I knew without a woman of God, I was not gonna be able to make it. as just honest, I was too torn up.
mm,
I mean, when you think about somebody being homeless and somebody that has had a hold on them from drugs, you
hmm
don't know how weak it makes a person feel when they'll spend their last $10 to get high rather than get some food.
mm.
That's a
Yeah.
weak position.
Yeah.
And when you've been there, it's a lot of things that can trigger that depression. It's a
Yeah.
lot of things that can bring those memories right back up to you. And
Mm.
you need that shoulder to lean on.
Yes, indeed.
I've cried in front of my wife. She
Mm.
needs to see me cry. It's not a weak cry. This is a strong cry. This is keeping me from really just losing my mind.
hmm
And that was my way of just freeing myself, being open to a vulnerable, uh just I mean that's I could do it. Can't say it no other way. You just have to be totally open. I mean, when I was dealing with pornography, like, hey, I had to have that talk. Has nothing to do with you. This is something that I brought into the relationship.
hmm
I was in prison for 4 years. I had nothing but magazines. Let's just be honest about it. You got magazines or you with men in there,
Right.
Just I'm just being honest. You only got
Oh yeah, no
a
doubt.
few options.
Yeah.
So when you coming out of that type of situation and you've been torn up like that and
Mm.
you've been so low, sometimes you need somebody to pick you up, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, so we got pride at the top of the list. That's one of the things that men struggle with. And then I heard some things like I heard something. Fear is another one that we deal with because we have a fear of looking a certain kind of way. And then I heard the word vulnerability, which we oftentimes we run from in terms
Mhm.
of that magnitude. So um here's the thing. Do you think we as men, because there's many different emotions out there, fear is one of them, hurt is another one. Do you think in the times when we hurt, do you think we use anger to mask it? Is anger one of the more comfortable emotions that we use as men, you think?
I I really don't know if um I would use the word mask because that means I'ma just use anger to hide something
Yeah,
when really anger is a true reaction.
it is. Yeah.
It's a true feeling.
hmm
And really I believe we're quick to get mad. We are mad people. from the time we're here, a lot of us have that mama that just she raised her voice. You know what I mean? She know how to yell at you. She know how to talk to you. You got that daddy. He got that firm voice. He know when he gets upset, you know he mad. And I believe we're just angry. When you have to look at us as a people and what we grow through as a people in our everyday life. I just think we almost have the right to be mad a lot of times. It's just how we handle it. It's okay to get mad. I get mad all the time, but the reaction off of the anger is the problem.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, women get mad all the time, but they don't bust nobody's head about it. They don't. They don't.
Yeah, we want to bust everybody's head open all the time when we get mad.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
Yeah, we get violent, but and that's that's in our nature. We are strong men. We're strong men, and we're protectors, but that's where that's supposed to be. If somebody's coming in my house, that's when I get mad. That's when I should get mad and show it.
Right.
But an argument with your significant other or with a coworker or with a friend is not the time to take that, not even the time to show that anger. It's back to what I was saying in the beginning. Hey, brother, can you not speak to me like that? That's me angry, and that's a controlled anger.
Yeah.
A lot of times we have an uncontrolled anger. We have an anger to where we make bad decisions just because we mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear that. I hear that quite a bit.
Why my boy laughing at me?
I'm just saying. So we got brother Carl Roberts in the building, the motivator. I know he's listening in hard on this. So brother Carl, the motivator. That's one of my colleagues, one of my partners in crime. We do this every fourth Sunday, every last Sunday of the month. So I want to bring you in on this, man. I know you've been hearing us talk, man. Anything stick out to you? Anything resonate with you since you've been on here? Talk to us,
man. How y'all doing today?
Man, we good. Brother? We good, bro.
Rise and elevate to everybody. We're going to the level.
Yeah.
Oh man, men hurt too.
Yes, sir.
I was just saying that when I left my mom's house, and the women started just going off.
They don't want to hear that, huh?
No wonder, man. It's because y'all did something to us.
We ain't gonna do them like that. Hey, we're gonna accept responsibility.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I go into what sticks out to me is judgment, being judged.
Mm-hmm.
When we going through the vulnerability and stuff like that, just being judged and how people think of us.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of think about that. When we tell somebody something, what they think when we walk off. Dang, I don't know if I told them. I think I told them too much.
Yeah,
something like that. Like, hold on, man. I don't know. I shouldn't have acknowledged all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's in that vulnerability, and we think it could be used against us.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, so they bring it back up. You like, man, I told you that in faith that that was between, and then now you're using it against me.
Mm.
So that's part of using it back against me. When you try to use that vulnerability to somebody, then that next time you ain't gonna use it again because you got threw back in your face, like you might have had an argument or something like that. That do happen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
That's my big thing. But
sure.
And I had a brother was saying, I have people talk to you. I don't think it's what you say.
How you say it.
Yeah.
It's how you say it.
Yes, sir.
So that takes you a big way. You can choose some different words and come across positive more than negative.
Right.
That's what I think about it. That's
gotcha. Gotcha. So we know for sure, and I work in the mental health field. I'm a counselor. We know when you communicate something, we know communication is 55% body language, 38% tone, and 7% verbal. So that body language is your presentation, your tone is your delivery, and the verbal aspect of it is your words. So it's all about how you say it and how you present it and how you deliver it. And sometimes, well, a lot of the times it can come off as offensive, regardless of whether you're telling the truth or not, because you can't just take the truth and shove it down somebody's throat like it's a piece of steak. You got to chop that bad boy up.
Right.
Get a fork and a knife, chop that bad boy up into little pieces, and let them chew on a piece of it for a minute. But you can't just take the whole porterhouse steak, shove it down the throat. He gonna choke. He gonna regurgitate. Most people will regurgitate truth if you don't feed it to them right. So even when it's truth, you don't beat nobody over the head with it, with the truth, because it's not going to be received well. So you have to be careful of people who can't handle the truth when you give it to them. But then you got to be careful of the people who mishandle the truth that has the truth to give. You understand what I'm saying? Like you have to have that discernment of who we share our vulnerability with, because everybody can't handle vulnerability that you talk to. Right. So you got to be careful with that stuff too. And so because some people and some women don't know what vulnerability is. You know what I'm saying? Like they know how to be vulnerable, but don't really know how to accept vulnerability from us, because and some women have not been taught to know how to handle a man who's vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Some women come up in houses like that that haven't been taught. So sometimes, even if you have a significant other that don't have that type of knowledge about how to handle a man that's vulnerable, sometimes we got to teach our women how to handle us as being vulnerable as well, because they're not used to that. You know what I'm saying? And because they're not used to it, that's where the judgment comes from. And the judgment comes from us too. You've been in the streets long enough, oh man, stop acting like a little yeah. You understand what I'm saying? I can't say it on here, but y'all can pretty much fill in the blanks. You understand what I'm saying? Like stop acting like a little, a little that there. So, so even with that, you have to have the discernment of who you share your vulnerability with, because sometimes they can beat you over the head with it, even if it may be truth, or they can beat you over the head of it because they think you're trying to be a little, something. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's hard to deal with. So is any of these things coming back to you, brother Jason? Any of these things that we're talking about, does it relate? Does it relate to your book in any kind of way, and or some kind of way? Discuss tears with joy, tears of joy with us. What is your book really talking about that you want the viewers to know?
Okay, I'm gonna step before I go into the book. I did want to chime in.
Yeah, go ahead.
What you guys were just speaking on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because it really goes back to, because I had the same thing, sharing too much with people, people throwing it in your face, people laughing at you, But at that time, I was dealing with that identity crisis. So once I realized who I was, the people around me changed. Just like this brother here, his name is Carl Roberts, the motivator. So therefore, everybody in his circle should represent that. Everybody in his circle should be some type of motivator, some type of powerful person. I shouldn't see Carl Roberts with somebody that's on a level where they would use his vulnerability against him. And that's what I had to learn too. I've got people that I don't have friends. I call you a brother, or I just keep it moving. I don't have friends, but I have brothers that I no longer associate with because I outgrew them. They can't even understand some of the things that I'm going through. And so my circle has changed. The more I've grown and realized who I am, I don't have to worry about my circle and who I share things with. And then it goes back to what you said, because sometimes we do have to teach people about how to accept vulnerability. And we may have to enter the conversation like, hey, I know this might seem soft to you, because we know how they accepting it. We know how they judging it. But I know it seems soft, but this is my best way of communicating to you.
Right.
You know, we may have to grab some people by the hand and just walk them to our level.
That's
That's
good.
just, you know, that's why, you know, we were joking earlier about, you know, the women did it to. I understand we was joking, but I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like, we the men, we run this. You
yeah,
know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
We run this. So,
yeah.
you know, anything that's done, we allow it to be done.
No
This
doubt.
this entire independent thing that's going on right now where women don't really need men and they can go do it on their own.
Hmm.
A lot of that came from us. You know what I mean? You
Right.
gotta we have done some hurt. When you go talk to any man, when you
Hmm.
talk to him, especially in his younger ages, 16, 17, all the way to about 21, we did some damage. We did some
Yeah, yeah,
damage.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
we can't say we didn't use our charm to get what we wanted and left that person right there. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And we don't think about it, but
Hmm.
that same woman will grow up from when we was 16 years old. I didn't know she loved me. I just was doing my thing, but she was really loved you. And
Mm.
we left her scarred off of a feeling. We was just getting a
Mm.
fit. You know what I mean? We was just getting a
Yeah.
feeling. And now we left this 16-year-old girl scarred. So when
Wow.
she 36, if she hasn't healed, she still don't trust men.
Hmm.
I remember I used to love somebody back when I was 16 years old. I gave up my virginity, and that nigga slept with my friend the next week. so
Yeah.
so we have to take some responsibility. Now back to the
Yes, indeed.
book.
Yes, sir.
The the book is, I mean, it's only 120 pages, but it is jam packed with
Yeah.
wisdom. It
Right.
took me 6 months to write, but
Mm.
every night I would go out and I would reflect and I would just ask God to speak through me.
Hmm.
And I only have one chapter where I give you my testimony.
Hmm.
All other chapters is just pure wisdom. And
Mm.
you know, the one I did with Miss Stephanie, I spoke on the chapter Profit from Patience.
Mm.
And it teaches us how to profit from patience because
Mm.
patience is meant for that. If
Right.
you don't profit from patience, all you did was wasted a lot of time because time is going to keep ticking. You know what I mean? The time is not going to stop, but it's to us to take advantage of that time
Right.
and use that time as preparation. But
Hmm.
a, but a lot of us fall short because during that time we're gonna run across some stumbles. We're gonna run
Right.
across some roadblocks, some
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that'll get us frustrated, and
Hmm.
that a lot of times throws us off track. And sometimes it prevents us from the preparation that we needed to make, and
Hmm.
it also causes some of us to quit and try something else.
Hmm.
Then when the opportunity arises, we not ready. You know what I mean? Like you've been wanting this your whole life,
Hmm.
and you've been working on it since you was 19, and
Right.
now you 27. You like, man, this is too long, but your breakthrough was right there at 28. You know what I mean? And you quit, you go start a whole nother career, and in the
Mm.
midst of this, you have an opening, you have a breakthrough,
Yeah.
and you're not prepared. You're not mentally prepared. You're not spiritually prepared.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the lessons I learned in that or that I shared is how to profit from patience. Every single time is going to profit. If you prepare while you're waiting, I guarantee there's not one time that you won't profit from it. And I've learned to put that in every aspect of my life.
Mm.
I use it with my wife in the relationship. I use it with raising my kids.
Mm.
I have a dog that just runs me crazy. That I'm learning how to use it with him. I'm like, okay,
Right.
if I approach this like there's good on the other side, it makes all this stuff in the middle with him not listening to me and all this a lot easier to deal with. Because I know one day I'm gonna tell you to sit, roll, jump, and all that, and you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? But if I have the mindset like it's hopeless, this dog is just,
Hmm.
it's no hope for this dog. This dog don't know how to listen, or I don't know how to train. So therefore, I'ma just tie him up outside somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm a deviate from trying to train you. You know what I'm saying?
So,
So So you could probably it's in every aspect. It don't matter what you're doing. If you could just believe,
Mm.
and then in all the time between the start of the vision and when you finally reaching your goal, that entire time should be preparation, like you know for a fact that it's gonna happen.
Okay, so this is good. This is good. So I'm hearing some things, and again, I want to go back to while we're talking about the word, I want to go back to some of the issues that men deal with. First, we talked about pride. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the issues that we deal with. Then we talked about fear, which is another issue that we talked about. Then we talked about vulnerability. Uh, I also heard accountability in that. The word wasn't said, but I heard
Mm-hmm.
accountability as well, because sometimes I don't think we hold ourselves accountable for the damage that we cause to other people that care about us. And we was talking about the women, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, some of that stuff is on us. You know what I'm saying?
For
And
sure.
this woman was this woman was 16 years old into the 36. She's still dealing with the trauma of her youth at 16, and a lot of times there's a brother that caused that damage. So we got, and so then after accountability, I heard patience. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think patience is one of the things that we as men struggle with as well?
Most definitely, we as a people, I can't
Hmm.
even.
Yeah.
We as a people struggle with patience because we don't believe. A
Hmm.
lot of things we just hope for. We don't really believe. You know what I mean? So there's a difference there. When you know something is good on the other side, you act different. When I was locked up, my entire mindset was when I get out of here, it's gonna be so much better. So therefore, I didn't get into a lot of stuff that the other guys got in. They selling drugs right there in prison.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they 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 running the drugs. They gang banging. They the same thing that's going on in the streets is right there waiting on me when I get in prison.
Hmm.
So it was up for me to have the mindset and say, "Hey, I'm gonna change this. When I get out, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna make a difference." So,
Hmm.
and that took patience because even when I got out, things wasn't sweet.
Hmm.
You know, I couldn't find a job. I was on probation. I had to pay a certain amount of money. If you don't pay your money, they want to lock you back up, which they did 3 times, 90 days each time. You know, so you're going through this stress, and it can have you not believing. But I continue to believe. You know what? Now it came from when I get out of prison to, oh man, I guess when I get off these papers. But I
Yeah.
kept the motivation. I kept believing that, hey, and I'm preparing myself. If I wouldn't have prepared myself, I wouldn't be ready for this moment right now.
Mm.
The moment right now come from a lot of wisdom, a lot of time with God, a lot of reflection, a lot of being real with myself. See,
Mm.
if I'd have lived a lie, there was no way I could come on here and tell you guys the truth. There's no way. So all this time that I waited on this, I'm 39 now.
Hmm.
I got out of prison when I was 24. That's 15 years of finally walking into my purpose.
Right.
Yeah, and I never gave up. I mean,
That's
throughout
good.
the whole time, I knew one day, excuse me, one day I'm gonna be somebody. I don't know exactly who that somebody is, but
Hmm.
one day I'm gonna be somebody. And I think a lot of us, like I said earlier, we just hope, man. We don't believe. So when it comes down to preparation, there's a lack of it. Like, why would I really prepare if I don't expect that to happen?
Hmm.
So that's why I believe a lot of us fall short in just believing.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So you think that patience is one of the things we struggle with? Do you think it's because we're expecting things to be good right away, or do you think we're expecting good things? Do you think we is because we don't see the bad that's coming, or we don't make room for some of the trials or tribulations that goes along with it? We just make room for what we think we see we could get out of it. Do you think people going into patience, people have the wrong motives about s- being patient about what they want to accomplish in life?
Absolutely. I believe people put a time frame on patience.
Mm, that's
Yeah,
good.
I can be patient for a year. Some people I can be patient for 6 months. You
Yeah,
know, can
man.
you be
Yeah,
patient for 15 years though?
that's good
Y-
stuff. Yeah.
You know, can you really can you wait 15 years for your dream to come true?
Yeah, man.
You know, but
That's
we would rather just go ahead and live the lie right now and forget the dream. Give me right now, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, I probably could have a wife and some kids, but you know, these women out here right now, you know, they biting, you
Mm.
know. So, you know,
Yeah, man.
and then and this the thing.
Real
Us
talk.
as us as men, we get old, man. We get
Yeah,
old.
yeah.
So we run around at our younger age chasing a lot of stuff, lack of patience,
Yep.
chasing women, chasing careers,
Mm-hmm.
and then we get old and none of that stuff is there.
Right.
The career we chase is gone. The woman we were chasing are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So it patience. I mean, I can't even put it in the words of what I'm experiencing with a wife and 4 children,
Wow.
and not to mention a dog. uh, all of that is a dream, you know. That's some TV stuff, you know. And I never, you know, when I was 16, 17 and out there, you know, doing whatever,
Mm-hmm.
this was only a dream.
Right.
You know, it was only a dream. I didn't believe it until I got locked up and I made myself, you know, a promise. I'll never go back to that life again. I
Yeah.
don't care what I gotta do. I'm gonna get me a wife. I'm gonna have me some children. I'm gonna live down here. And I don't mean living like these young people think living. They think going to the club and turning up is living. When I have seen so many people that I had to step over and run out of the club because you just got shot 4 times in front of everybody and you left there by yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
know, all for a little bit of fun. I would rather skip the club. I haven't been to a club or a party in over 10 years.
Yeah, bro.
You know, all because I don't want to jeopardize my life. I
Yeah.
don't I don't want to end my life when I had so much waiting for me if I'd have just been patient, you know. And that's what I mean, if you look at the kids, man, they want to be grown
Mm.
fast. They want to be grown at 12.
Yes, indeed.
They talk to you crazy too.
Talk to you crazy.
12, 13 years old, they want to be
Yo.
grown. You got some people 15, 16 years old facing life,
Mm.
murder.
Mm.
You know, they want to be grown. You want to go ahead and get your pistol, you know. You ain't old enough, but you want to be impatient. I want to be a big dog. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be a man. I'm a man until you put in a man situation or in a cell with another a real man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I hear that, bro. I
Yeah,
hear
so
that for real. Yeah.
yeah.
That's good, man. So this patience thing. So we got some issues that we're gonna have to address. You know what I'm saying? And this is good that you're bringing this up. So we got a pride issue. That's first and foremost. We got big
Mm-hmm.
old egos. We got a fear issue as well. I think that's going to be hard to address, but but the truth is the truth. Whether whether you want to address it or not, we got vulnerability, which is an issue that we run from as men. We run from it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I heard accountability sometimes. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Accountability. Do you believe that accountability, when people hold us accountable, why do you think it's so hard for us to, as men or as women or as anybody, why do you think it's so hard for us to handle people calling us out on our stuff? Like, I know I done ran into brothers who wanted to fight me because I called them out on their stuff. What do you think? Do you think that also has to do with pride, or what do you think is going on that when it's so hard for us to accept accountability for the stuff we done, and then we being called out on it? What do you think that is?
That ties in with two different things. Pride for one, of
Right,
course.
of course.
But with accountability comes responsibility.
Mm, good deal.
If I'm holding myself accountable or somebody else holds me accountable for something I did wrong, that means I'm responsible now to act on that. That means that means I have to change something. You know, I have to come out of my comfort zone. If somebody address you or address me with the way I spoke to them. Now I'm just sitting here talking about, how people talk to me. But what if somebody checks me and say, "Hey, I don't like the way you was talking to me"? It now it's my duty to check myself. I have to go back and say, "Man, what did I say?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I really do have a problem speaking to people.
Mm-hmm.
I really do." So I believe it comes from, like I said, one, pride, and two, you're gonna have to be responsible. That brings responsibility. That means I have to do something. That means I have to change something.
Mm-hmm.
That means, and I don't think we like change at all. We
No,
like our comfort zone. I'm 40 years old. I've been doing this all my life. Why I gotta stop talking to you right?
right. Yeah.
So it's and with growth,
Mm-hmm.
because if you're holding yourself accountable and you're actually trying to do something about it,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna come growth, and with growth comes pain. We back at fear. We fear pain. We don't like that inside pain. We'd rather have our leg cut off than have our heart hurt. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we don't like what goes on inside of us when we have to grow.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Yes,
because really, when you have to grow, because I'm telling you, I was just talking to a guy about this earlier.
mm-hmm.
What if someone said your actions were a little childish? Now you're a grown man. That's gonna hit a spot. Childish? What do you mean? You know
Yes,
what I mean? But we have to be
indeed.
grown enough. We have to be big enough to take what these people say into consideration. Maybe I was a little childish right there.
Yes, indeed.
Maybe I did approach them wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But once I put my finger on what I did wrong, it's up to me to change it.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be in your face. Like either
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna change it or it's gonna hit you again. See, that's when we hit that mute button. That's when we hit that. I don't want to hear what God's saying right here. I don't want to hear that spiritual voice talking to me no more because it's telling me to change. It's and we don't like that. It's like that hurts.
Yeah.
That means you're telling me, and a lot of people don't like being wrong. It's just
Oh, that's good right there, man.
that's just
Mm-hmm.
what it is. I don't like being wrong.
Nah, I don't like being wrong neither. I ain't gonna lie to you. I hear that. No doubt. No doubt.
No. So, all that ties in together. We have a mixture of emotions
Mm-hmm.
that we deal with. Like you say, pride, we got fear we deal with.
Yeah.
We got all this stuff mixed into one big pot.
Yeah.
And we have nobody to teach us how to deal with it.
Right, man. It's real. It's real.
And we have to walk around acting like we're okay.
Yeah, the acting part. That's that part right there. You're right
Yeah.
about that. We gotta act like we okay, but we know we really ain't.
Nah, man, you fighting tears. Too many blinks, you finna cry.
Yeah, man. For sure.
Yeah.
So brother Carl, I know you mentioned something about judgment. So I wanna bring that into the aspect, bring that into the conversation too, because I think this part right here, like we talk about accountability, and we don't like to be told that we're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that also come from a fear of judgment, that we become so defensive when somebody want to call us out? Or do you think it's coming from the fact that people don't know how to talk to us when they try to hold us accountable, and they come from a judgmental perspective? Do you think that also carries on in that aspect of it too? And and brother Carl, you could jump in on this too, because I know accountability is a big doggone thing. And
Yeah.
I know you mentioned judgment. I don't want to take judgment out, because sometimes judgment is an issue with us as well. But and you also talked about growth as well. So with growth comes maturity. So when somebody comes and call you out on your stuff from a judgmental perspective, does growth and maturity play a role in how you receive it, in terms of how to handle somebody that's coming from a judgment perspective? And I'm only asking that because for me, I'm at a place in my life now when people call me out, even if I know it's coming from a judgmental perspective, I'm not so quick to attack or be on the defensive, because my growth and my maturity is telling me now, just listen to what they got to say. Just listen to the words that's coming from them. Don't listen to the attitude. Don't listen to the judgment and all that other stuff. So I'm just throwing all that out there because I hear growth, and
Yeah.
growth can be a painful part of it. I also hear judgment coming from people who don't know how to strategically or empathically call you out, like with because you can do it with compassion. When you call people out, you can do it with compassion. But a lot of people, particularly when we talk to ourselves, we like to do it with brute force, and sometimes that's not the best way to call people out. So I'm kind of just putting some stuff out there, and brother Carl and brother Jason, you can elaborate on this if you want. But I'm hearing growth, and I know we use judgment as one of the things, and we talked about accountability as well. Does growth and maturity determine how you handle accountability in terms of people coming from a judgmental perspective? That's the question.
I think you do. It do. If you try to grow in life, and you see how somebody in judgment, and so if you see if somebody is critiquing you, how they come off. But if you want to grow, you kind of sit back and kind of take their advice, or see what they're saying and see if you can better yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You want to better yourself. For me, I sit back and see what they got to say. Now, if I think about it, and I think I can't grow from that, then no. But if I say no, they probably right, because it kind of depend on who is it coming from.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Now, and if it's coming from you, Mr. Young, then I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna listen.
Mm-hmm.
And if it coming from Mr. King, I'm saying, you know what? Let me listen. This got to be something. There's got to be something. If they telling me they see something, and I know it's for the better. But if it's coming from some knucklehead on the street, I'm not too fast to go on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
Yeah, man. I mean, some people can use accountability to weaponize. They'll weaponize accountability and use it against you. And sometimes use accountability over the head. Now, people like that back in my day, I want to slap them up because I knew you were coming from you wasn't coming from a good place.
Mm-hmm.
You was really trying. You wasn't really trying to you wasn't really trying to call me out. You was really trying to use that against me, try to embarrass me and try to show me out in front of people. You know what I'm saying? Now, that was back in the day. Where I'm at right now,
right?
It don't really bother me like that. But back in the day, I would have wanted to slap you up for that. So, brother Jason, what's your take on that? Growth and maturity, and handling accountability from people that's coming from a place of judgment.
It's definitely gonna take some maturity. Because at one point in my life, you couldn't tell me anything. I don't care who you was, and that's just a part of my life that I had to learn from. But at this point in my life, I kind of use the same strategy as if I'm visiting a church,
Mm-hmm.
and they say chew up the meat and spit out the fat. I don't know if you ever heard that
Oh yeah,
slogan.
yeah, that's old school. Yeah, no
So
doubt.
I take the same approach if somebody is, coming at me like that. If it's all fat and no meat, hey, I don't take none of that. I don't know what you was talking about or why you even came at me like that. And I'm on about my business, but I'm gonna at least view it and see if it's some type of substance in that. But I really don't deal with that much because I'm really to myself type of person.
Yeah, me too.
You very rarely do I have somebody just come up and say something to me, because with today's society, I'm all about family. So usually I'm around them. Usually I got a wife or I got one of my kids with me, or I'm going up to the church. I spend a lot of time with my pastor. I don't just have a pastor. We like best friends as well. So,
that's what's up for sure.
Those type of things keep me in an environment where I really don't have to deal with that on the daily. But
good.
if I did at this point in my life, I would analyze what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can take something from it, I can. If I can't, we're gonna move on. So
Yeah. Well, you got to be careful with meat, because if the meat tastes good and it's seasoned just right, I eat that fat too. Yeah, like, you gotta get. Don't get it twisted.
that was a bad example, wasn't it?
No, no, that was a good one. No, 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 no. That was a good one. It's just that I'm a greedy
Okay.
dude. You understand? I like to eat. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother
Yeah.
slapped me upside
You
the head.
know, I
Made
eat
me,
that fat too.
boy, spit that fat out your mouth, boy. And she'll go upside my head. You know what I'm saying? But me, I'm greedy.
Yeah.
Like, I tell my grandmother, you shouldn't have put all that seasoning on that fat. It almost tastes like a piece of meat. You know what I'm saying? So, where I'm at right now in my maturity, if that fat tasting good, I might swallow that too. So you can't even get me with the fat. You understand what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
good example though. Good example. I'm not bringing it up as a bad example. I know I'm just a greedy boy. Like, you know what I'm saying? That back
Nah,
in the
that's
day,
good.
I didn't, because back in the day I didn't even want the meat. You understand what I'm saying? Like you said, I was that same dude. You couldn't tell me nothing. I didn't want the meat. But since I'm a greedy dude now, and I usually like eat the fat when my grandmother cooked them 7 steaks. You know what I'm saying? And put the gravy, smother the 7 steaks, put that gravy in, there, put some rice and some corn and some peas and all that other stuff. Like,
Man, you got me
I'm at the
hungry,
point.
man.
Hey, look, we talking about it, but so I'm just saying right now, as far as growth and maturity, I eat that fat too, and especially with people who's trying to attack you with the meat and the fat, and you spit the fat out, but people will use that to try to go against you. Like I mean, because I got a book out too. You know what I'm saying? Both of my kids are 20. They're a month apart, so I did my thing back in the day, and
Mm.
that book was my redemptive approach to how I was back in my day as well. Like, you can't use. I'm so in tuned and so connected with who I am as a person. You can't really use nothing against me now. If you call me this, you call me that, that don't bother me no more. Stuff that I probably would have attacked you on back in the day, I laugh at now. There's nothing you can use against me now because I got it all in my book. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like, growth and maturity at some point is going to have to be a big thing. Growth and maturity is the same thing, I believe. So
Yeah.
you mentioned growth, and that's a good part of it. So did this book help you to grow into not so much a different person, but did it help you to grow into another dimension of who you are? The book itself.
Oh, most definitely. My life hadn't been the same since I wrote the book. And like I
God.
say, it was just 2 months ago. I'm on my second 100 copies, which I thought I was doing bad. But then when I was talking to other people, they was like, "Why you own 200 books? That's a lot of books in 2 months." So I'm like, "Okay,
Mhm.
well maybe." So my life, like I say, I didn't wear suits. I'm doing a lot of things for the first time. I'm really
Mhm.
just walking into it.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that I allowed the Holy Spirit to really write that book for me.
Mm.
So I actually go back and read that book for myself. I get a lot out of that book like I didn't even write it, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And I just have to go back and read. It's so much in there. I have to go back, especially the Prophet from Patience. I done read that same chapter probably.
Yeah, that's powerful right there, bro. I'm
I
gonna have
read
to
it
get
about
that.
10 times, man. I read that chapter about 10 times just to remind myself when I get frustrated. Hey,
Mm.
you are believing in the promise, right? You believing in the vision, right? Okay, let's keep walking. I know it's tough right here, but let's keep walking. So
Mhm.
definitely the book is put me in a different dimension. It's grown me in a
Mm.
way I can't really describe. I wasn't this same guy if you'd have got me on the podcast 3 months ago.
Dang.
Okay.
3 months ago, I'd have had my jeans, my t-shirt, my hat cocked to the back, and I'd have had a totally different vibe. That don't even feel right to me right now.
Mm.
What? Like, I'm an author right now. I
Right.
call
Right.
myself a best-selling author, a speaker. I walk in it. Like, I don't like going to the store because somebody might catch me slipping. I want to be, because I want to look like somebody that these children want to be.
That's right.
Right.
You know, you
That's good.
know, and I understand who I am. So anytime I walk out this house, I carry myself a certain way. You know,
Mm.
And so, yeah, I have grown in a way. I mean, my wife love it. My kids love it. My kids, like right when I was setting up my podcast, my computer,
Mhm.
my daughter ran in. I said, "Hey, you got to go to your room. We're getting on the podcast." She said, "You talking about your book again?" They get so excited. And,
Yeah.
I've never made my kids proud. I never really had an accomplishment.
Mhm.
And I finally did something that I never made my mom proud. My mom has cried, my father has cried and proud of me.
Mhm.
I've been nothing but a disappointment for majority of my life. I was the first person in my entire family to go to prison. My family is full of church going people.
Mhm.
I was the first one to sell drugs, first one to go to prison, almost the first person to commit a murder.
Yeah, yeah.
I still thank God to this day that
Mhm.
that I'm not a good shot. I'm glad I don't know how to shoot, and I
Yeah,
ain't
yeah.
hit nobody because I
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
be here today. So the book is grown me. It's gonna be a volume 2 because
Cool.
I grow every day. So a lot of the stuff that's in there, I know now. I'm like, oh, we need to elaborate on that. You
Mhm.
know, because even the profit from patience with all that information is only like 3-4 pages in that chapter, and
Mhm.
it's jam packed. But I know now, hey, you need to elaborate. That could be
Yeah.
30 pages right there.
Yeah.
They need
That sounds like a whole nother book, my brother.
you know what I
You
mean?
know what I'm saying? That
Yeah, and
sounds like a whole nother book. Yeah.
but it's a lot of that. You got our view. One chapter is our view and explains how we look at ourselves, and
Yeah.
then the following chapter give you God's view, and you'll see how different the views are,
Mm.
and how we view ourselves, and how
Mm.
God viewed us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we get in these situations that seem impossible, and we get so frustrated. I mean, and
Yeah.
God's like, do you not believe in God? Like either you believe or you don't.
Right. Right.
And I found myself in my younger days, I knew of God.
Mhm.
I was forced to go to church because I got a church going family. I knew of him. I
Right.
knew his name. I knew some of his mannerisms from what people would tell me.
Mm.
But to experience them for myself, I didn't know. And that's just
Yeah.
to be honest, I didn't.
Mhm.
So writing this book, when I wrote this book, it showed me how powerful God is. Now, all the other things I went through in life, that showed me some things too. But this book, see, the significance of the book is I didn't read or write. I'm not a guy that writes and just decide to write a book, a journal, or anything. I wouldn't pick up a pen or a book for my
Mhm.
entire life. Once I got out of high school, books were over with, you
Mm.
know. So for God to use somebody like myself
Mhm.
and to write a book of that magnitude, it really showed the power of God. It's like, hey, I can do all things. Like
Mm.
I can use little old you with
Mm.
that very low GPA. And I can write a book that'll impact the nation. So that that's really when I really experienced a different level of God's power. Cause I'm like, man, you mean tell me you could use me and make me look smart? He make me look very intelligent. So
Mhm.
that's what makes me dress the part. I have to dress like what God is forming me to be. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm
Right.
like, he really showed himself in this, and I'm gonna make sure I get you a copy. We're gonna I'll get in touch with Miss Stephanie, and I'll get both of you guys information.
Yeah, I need a
And
copy.
Oh yeah,
oh
absolutely.
That
yeah,
sounds good,
And,
man.
and and how much you selling your books for? Because I think our viewers need to know that too.
see online. If you get them online, they $25, and that handles the shipping and handling.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
Okay. All right. And we got
but
I am jasonking.com. Is that what that is?
yes, sir.
Okay. I am jasonking.com. Make sure we get this book. This book is, I can tell it's powerful. That profit to patience is crazy. So I know the rest of the book is just as powerful. And you say only 100 and some pages. Hey, That ain't only 100. That's 100 and some pages of power packed stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it probably only needed to be 120 pages because once you come out with volume 2, people were still gonna be still digesting volume 1. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so much power in there. So yeah, so get them ready. That'll get them ready for volume 2. So I know it's more than just a measly 100. It's a powerful 100 and some pages. You understand what I'm saying? No doubt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That dunamis dynamite power stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I found myself kind of judging myself, I guess, off of everybody else because I'm looking at other authors. I'm looking at the thickness on some of these other books, and I'm like, man, I just wrote a nursery rhyme, didn't it? I mean,
don't sabotage yourself like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that was just a little low self-esteem because, see, I realize I still deal with certain things, but I have to address them. I have to address them when they occur. And low self-esteem was one of the things that I did deal with. So,
it's what's in the book. It's never how many pages it is. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, I can't read those thick books like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I can only read a little bit at a time because I'm a low GPA dude too. You know what I'm saying? And God, I gotta tell you, I don't really like to read like that. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm an author and I wrote a book, that don't necessarily mean I like to read. Just because I wrote something, you know what I'm saying? So I get it. Sometimes some of the most powerful books out there are in less pages. You know what I'm saying? Like less is sometimes more. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah. Don't ever look at them thick books and think that they got something in it that yours don't have in it just because yours don't have less pages. They got less pages. Nah, don't ever think that. I can tell you that right now.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I'm glad you, Mr. King. I'm glad you had you said 3 months ago you changed your gear up and everything. Your hat backwards and all that, and now you playing the part.
Most definitely.
Perception is everything.
Most definitely. Yeah, man. See, I'm trying to. Once God revealed to me that I'd be at the forefront of this movement, that's when I started doing things different. I said, okay, I need to be attractive to the youth. I need the young people around here to want to be like myself, just like they want to be like an NBA player or one of these artists. Now, I'm not going to do the gold chain thing. I'm just going to show you success. Now, if you want to, myself, I wouldn't tell anybody to wear all that jewelry. Not in 2025 in the United States.
Right.
No, sir. It's too many hungry people. We're really living in a time where there's a lot of poverty, a lot of people not doing good. And you're gonna basically throw it in my face by putting $60,000, $70,000 around your neck. And I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't advise anybody to go all out on jewelry because one thing I do realize, I pay attention. If you look at the wealthy people, see the rich people have the jewelry. The wealthy people, they're gonna have on those New Balance. They're gonna have on the same pair of little shorts they got, but they're gonna live in a $3 million house.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have a 5-car garage. I didn't even know they make them.
Telling
you know what I'm saying? So that's where the level that I'm trying to get to show these kids, like, hey, all that diamonds in your mouth and all this stuff that you chasing, it's a graveyard behind it most of the time.
Yes,
and the guys that's walking around with it that you see, they got security. They ain't tell you that. They didn't tell you that they pay security. They pay $250,000 a year just so somebody can walk around so their chain don't get snapped.
Wow.
Yeah, we just look at, oh, that's a nice chain. I used to want them myself. I used to have them. I used to have chains. I used to have earrings. I used to have the whole thing. Little snatch out grills. Couldn't afford the permanent. Let me go on at least look like it,
Yeah.
But then I find myself looking like a fool if I look at myself from the man I am now. You a fool, man. What are you doing with all that? I mean, that's aluminum. That ain't even real. That's gonna turn your ear green, So, I'm just I'm walking into what God want me to be. and I'm being the example for not only my children, all the other children out here in my community and across the world.
Yeah, you're going in your purpose now.
Most definitely.
Yes, indeed.
So I always say, who gonna motivate the motivator? With your book today.
That's good to hear, man. I'm telling you, when I get that address, I'm gonna have it to you within the week. I promise you.
I appreciate it.
Gotcha. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
No, I appreciate y'all, man. I love the opportunity.
So, okay, we got about maybe 5 minutes left. So, one last question: would you say you're redeemed, or are you still walking that redemptive path?
Man, that's
Well,
I'm
because
redeemed.
because you mentioned that all your parents at one point you were such a disappointment to everybody, your parents, and now that you're at this stage, they all proud of you, they shed tears for you and all other stuff. Your children are excited about you, and you're talking about your book again and all that other stuff. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm asking, are you redeemed? Are you still walking down that redemptive path? So you said you're redeemed, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So it's like, see, after I decided to be obedient and do what God asked me to do, and I'm born again, I'm a new creature. The old me don't exist.
Gotcha.
There's no way I can go back to what I used to do.
Right.
There's no slipping and falling on that. That's not a slip and fall. Like, I don't even own a firearm, and I used to have 8 illegal. You know what I mean? I used to wouldn't go nowhere without one, but now I don't even have one. You know what I mean? I don't even own a firearm. Not saying everybody should walk like that. I believe in firearm, but I do. I walk a different walk. I walk a totally different walk. I live a totally different life to where I really don't have any worries. And that's not saying I don't live in, I live in Mobile. It's pretty active with crime. But I do deal with God and believe in God. I listen to God. And he has never led me wrong. So I don't worry about anything. Plus, I have to go through a lot of legal stuff to ever carry another firearm. It's a lot of lawyers and a lot of money involved, but it's not important. A lot of people, it's very slim situations to where a person gets in a situation, they're like, boy, if I ain't had my pistol, I wouldn't be here. Like, if you wouldn't have went there, like you went somewhere where everybody got a gun, where everybody drinking, where everybody getting lit, and you know what I mean. So why even put yourself in that situation?
Right.
That's why I say I am redeemed, because a lot of the things that I used to do, I couldn't even do it. I couldn't make myself do it. I couldn't walk around here with illegal guns. I couldn't sell drugs no more. I can't devalue women no more like I used to. So once you woke, man. It's up to you to go back to sleep. And if you're going back to sleep, that means you had to get comfortable. You had to get comfortable in something. And you don't just fall asleep when you wide awake. Somebody just woke you up.
Right.
So I'm good, man. I'm really just excited about the future. Like I say, this is only 2 months in, and I'm on here talking to you.
Right.
That's big to me. I don't take it lightly.
That's God, man. That's God working on your behalf, big dog. That's how God work, bro. Once you give it to Him and walk in the path that He wants you to be in, sky's the limit, man. I mean, it ain't no limit to what God can do. He gonna start pouring you out stuff if He not doing that already. He gonna enlarging your territory. He gonna pour out blessings that you don't have room enough to receive. Man, peace and blessings upon you and your family, your wife, your kids, your parents, and everybody that's close in your circle that's having that impact and that influence on your life, including your pastor, which you say is your partner as well.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So, man, I'm so proud of you, bro. I don't know you, but I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of what you did for your life and how you was able to overcome the things and coming to God. Look, man, I am, what is it? I am King, IamJasonKing.com. Is that
Yes,
what it
sir.
is? Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
I just want our viewers to know, Tears of Joy is the name of the book, his website, IamJasonKing.com. He's an international motivational speaker, husband, father, best-selling author. So don't sleep on all of the gifts and the talents that this man has. International motivational speaker. So he ain't just writing it; he's speaking, and he pouring seeds and planting seeds into everybody's life, from young to old. It's age. I'm pretty sure it's ageless in terms of what you got to say and what you got to pour into people. And we just need more people like yourself in this world. And I thank you for coming out. I thank you for giving us and blessing us with your time today. We're so thankful, and we want to just make sure that we give you your flowers while you're alive and breathing and well, man. So we so appreciate you coming in and giving us your time. We so appreciate you sharing your book with us and letting us know what the power, the dunamis, dynamite power, and that exousia authoritative power that's in your book. We appreciate you sharing this with us. And everybody, if you don't know, now you know. This man has a powerful book out, Tears of Joy. IamJasonKing.com. You need to go get it. So we just want to say thank you, brother. Hopefully we can do this again. And we want to make sure that everybody, and I'm gonna also post your website on my Facebook page as well, or all of my social media outlet, so these people could go to your website and purchase that book, man. They need to read this. We all need to read this book. So I appreciate you for coming out, bro.
Thank you, brother.
All right, so every fourth Sunday or last Sunday of the month, look, My Brother's Keeper podcast every single time. I want to thank my partner in crime, my colleague Carl Roberts, the motivator, and I want to thank everybody that tuned in today. So look for us next month at the end of the month. We're gonna be here again, always 7 p.m. and we're gonna be talking about men's issues every fourth or every last Sunday of the month. So make sure you tune in. My Brother's Keeper. Love y'all. Peace.
Rise and elevate.
All right, love you too, bro.
Thank you for watching My Brother's Keeper podcast, a safe space for men here on the Stephanie M. Seton Sunday Show channel. Healing, empowerment, transformation.